Stephen and I are in the bar area of my flat, and we're discussing the first weekend of the Six Nations 2017.
And we're drinking tea as well in the bar.
We might not add that into the actual mix.
I think
Right.
we should.
Okay. So, Stephen, Scotland versus Ireland. What's your take on it?
Well, it was a very interesting match, and I think it was probably the pick of the matches from the weekend. Both teams came into the tournament with fresh hope of a good autumn international series. Ireland perhaps more or less the favourites after their kind of Grand Slam of the Southern Hemisphere teams last year. Scotland probably, I suppose, had talked the talk during the week and angered Ronan O'Gara. And they probably came into the game a little bit more confident because home record in the Autumn Internationals, they performed very well and they could have beaten Australia. And they certainly started the game in that sort of confidence. And the way that they started and the 40 minutes that they did play to start the championship was Scotland of old. And I'm talking 1999 Scotland. Stuart Hogg, absolutely on fire. And it's not only a dead cert in my book for the Lions, but it's a dead cert for first test, starting 15. Really, really good attacking play from Scotland. They were largely dominated by Ireland in the set piece and the scrum, but the position they did have and the territory that they managed to find, they exploited so well. And a bit of luck from a loose pass from Finn Russell, and Hogg goes in for the first try. Second try that he scores on the kind of 23rd minute mark was just pure class, and again it comes from a missed pass, a perfectly missed pass by Finn Russell, hits Hugh Jones, hits Stuart Hogg, shows Rob Kearney the touchline, and skins Keith Earls for the try as well. 14-0 up, and you would think that the Scotland had it in the bag. They scored another great try through Alex Dunbar before the end of that half, but certainly, as we know, the final score, it wasn't all plain sailing in the second half.
No, and well, how did Ireland come back into that match?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't know what was said at half time by Joe Schmidt, the coach, but it certainly worked. And whilst they were a little bit sluggish starting the game, and there was talk about the team coach arriving late at Murrayfield, 15 minutes late, and the permutations of how that affected the warm-up. And to be honest, I think that was a whole load of cobblers, really.
Is that post-match excuses, do you think?
Well, both Rory Best and Joe Schmidt said this is not an excuse because we are professionals, but again, why would they mention it? I think that the Irish press seem to think that this is a passes for an excuse. Probably doesn't, even though I've seen some rugby warm-ups, they are to the second. They still arrived at the stadium an hour and a half early, so I don't know what happened in the first half, but defensively they were all over the place. Attack in the second half, they started the game exactly as Scotland did in the first half. They got more ball, they were a little bit wider in attack, they were more adept around the fringes. I just put Scotland on the back foot, and as you saw at the beginning of that second half, Conor Murray pulling the strings, gets the forwards on the front foot, and with a guy like Ian Henderson, the second row, 2 metres out from the line, he just falls over the line. There's a try there, it's 23-15 or 21-15. Suddenly Ireland are within a score and they get right back on it. So I think the key player in that second half for Ireland was Paddy Jackson. He was fairly anonymous in the first half. Second half, he was getting the ball in behind the Scottish defenders. He was getting runners off him, and his try on 63 minutes, his converted try, put Ireland into the lead for the first time in the match, if you can believe that.
Yes, and Scotland of old at that point would probably have crumbled. What do you think are the key factors that closed that game out for Scotland?
Well, it was a stroke of luck, and I think, as you rightly said, I think Scotland of old, even back in the autumn international, it was a very successful autumn series, but they did exactly the same against Australia. They were leading late on, and then their discipline started to fade. Australia get a penalty. They go to the corner. They score a try out of it. how many times have we seen Scotland do this? We thought it was going to be the exact same. They were under the cosh, in defence. Match stats say that Ireland had 59% of the possession. They had 63% territory, and in that second half, it was almost 80% possession for Ireland. How can you win a game if you don't have 20% of the possession in the second half? Well, Ireland, in fairness, capitulated by themselves, and their indiscipline. It was a few cheap penalties. They perhaps were starting to look at the clock, starting to think that they may have won the game. I don't think it was complacency, but they started to be a little bit careless around the breakdown, and that just gave Romain Poit the incentive that needed to ping them. Up steps Greg Laidlaw, captain's performance, and knocks over 2 penalties to win the game.
And how do you think his leadership has contributed to this victory?
Unquestionably, his leadership in those key situations. In the first half of the tries, the quick ball that he got from his forwards, Xander Ferguson in particular, Johnny Gray, these guys put in about 29 tackles each, and their work around the breakdown was really good. But Laidlaw, the master, he's a wily number 9, and certainly his decision making in the last 10 or so minutes to go for the points, get the side back in the lead, secure the ball, get the ball back up into Irish territory. It shows a lot of character, and let me just mention the last penalty that Ireland conceded. Scotland had 3 tries, and Ireland had 3 tries as well. The new bonus points introduced this season gives you an extra point. And Laidlaw, he tried once, he tried a second time to get that bonus point. Once he realised that the risk of not only conceding a try and conceding the victory to Ireland, but also to concede a bonus point victory to Ireland was too much, he opted for the posts, get the victory, and he used the complete minute for there. And that just the poise of that player, where other people may have in a similar situation may have wilted. I'm thinking of some Scotland players of olden days. He just knew that winning the game was crucial, and if you start off first opening weekend victory for Scotland in the Six Nations for 11 years, that is more important than a bonus point. However, it might come back to bite them if we lose out by a point. But great leadership from Laidlaw, and a great start for Scotland.